Are you sitting on a gold mine of retro style games? As you can see behind me, I'm sitting on some myself. But recently there's been a story that's kind of making the rounds here. We're going to dive into it because what you might have and what you might be able to do with it is in question. Well, hello and welcome. I am Cindershadow, and today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Entertainment Systems, all the way from the first one all the way up to the 64, the Wii, and even the Switch, because some things just seem to be out of place. If you guys like these type of videos, do let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, without all of you that are watching this right now, if you can do me a favor, share this video out with one person, at least one person, because the reach that we get through YouTube and a little where I do share it is very limited. You guys are the eyes and ears of this community. So if you want these things to grow even more, please share it out. Anyway, on with the story. Well, recently I've been kind of diving back into the Nintendo, reading and seeing how retro games are obviously on the top of everyone's bucket list when it comes to Christmas presents. Recently I read one that sold at auction for $1.5 million, and apparently it's ruffled a few feathers. So a rare first edition copy. This is back from July. This is from July 16th, 2021. A Super Mario 64 copy sold for 1.56 million. And take heed, people have noticed this, especially Nintendo. They've noticed that these increasing costs of these retro video games are going through the roof. So this is a rare first edition copy of Super Mario 64, just sold for 1.56 million, making it the world's most expensive video game. Here's why it costs so much. Well, first off, I'm not gonna dive into the whole details of grading systems, because we already have I've seen many stories, and maybe I should dive into this even more, but many stories of where grading has been completely rigged, just in the sense of owning something more special with the grading. If the grading isn't there on these products, are they still worth this? And people say no, because they haven't been certified and all this other stuff. But those certifications tend to go through a system that just seems to be underhanded and manipulative when everything is said and done. So on July 12th, a copy of the 64 classic Super Mario 64 sold for a whopping 1.56 million, making it the most expensive video game on the planet. For many, the huge price tag for a copy of such a well-known game seemed astronomical. To the CEO of the video game grading firm that rated the game for auction, Ryan Sabaga, I believe, that price sounded about right. Of course, it sounds right to the grading system. Now, there's been talk that these grading systems are in cahoots with the auction houses. So the auction house makes a commission off these sales, and that's why they tend to give these grading, just so they can get a part of that cut. So everyone down the line with a higher grading system on a higher sale makes all the world of money. And this is what's going on in the grading system world. But I came across a story today that was so unbelievable, and it gives thought of what's going on in the world of Nintendo and what's going on in the world of these games, and how quite possibly someone's standing up and making a stand here as they talk about the selling of retro games and how it may end up you in some hot water. I must say, I looked at this and I had a good little laugh with it, so take it with a grain of salt. Nintendo sues guy for $25 he made on selling a Nintendo 64 on eBay. Well, this, as ridiculous as it sounds, is a false story. The $1.56 million story, that's real. That actually happened. This is not. Now, Nintendo sues guy for $25 he made selling Nintendo 64 on eBay. This is a story that came out of Hard Drive, a satirical site for gamers and such stories like this. But I saw this and I had a good laugh. I was like, this is something that I need to talk about. And you know what? Throwing it in there with the story of the $1.56 million Super Nintendo copy is something that makes it sound like it's too believable. It's way too believable, and it really shows you how broken the system is when it comes to these games selling on eBay or dealers that you guys like to go to and buy. We've got several here in my city that do a buy and exchange. We have EB Games that'll give you about $2 for these games, but then they will turn around and sell it for 1.56 million. Is absolutely ridiculous. But this story I had a good laugh at. Nintendo has decided its latest lawsuit will be suing a guy in Vermont that made $25 on his old Nintendo 64 on eBay, sources have confirmed. Wow, this wasn't worth it at all, said Arnold Wells, shortly after being served notice to appear in a Washington courtroom for the upcoming pretrial regarding his unlicensed Nintendo profiteering. I found this thing in the attic and figured I wasn't doing any good up there, so I listed it online. Is that a problem? Could I go to prison for this? And no, you cannot go to prison for this. You cannot completely get sued. Once you own something, it's up to your right to turn around and sell it back again. However, we have seen in recent months, as the world event progresses, where we have what scalpers are sitting there and scooping up PS5s, Xbox One, the Xbone or whatever you want to call it. They've been scooping them up and reselling them for astronomical amounts. So do not overpay for these games. You don't overpay for these games. Plain and simple. Now, if someone makes $25 extra on the original retail price of these, there's no fault here. This brings into the story, I actually found myself a copy of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest for the GameCube. This in itself, I have a copy of it. I actually do have a copy on the shelf behind me. Now, I found another version of that copy for $2 at a garage sale. They didn't understand what they actually had their hands on. I picked it up. I didn't even haggle. I was like, I want this. I'm going to walk away with it. I turned around and flipped it for $80 the next day. Like, it's unbelievable if you've ever found these type of things. Now, to this date, that is the best thing I have ever found at a garage sale or ever done in the marketing of this. I don't sit there and buy up storage lockers like we have in Storage Wars to try and resell video games. I personally try and hold on to as many as I can. But if I come across a simple thing like that, I am going to pick it up and I'm going to do my darndest to try and resell it. And if a story like this comes out where Nintendo actually started suing people for this, it would be absolutely ridiculous. People would be flying off the handle trying to tell you these stories and be like, they can't do this. And that's exactly the case. They can't. Consumer laws prevent that. Once you own something, you turn around and you can resell it yourself. So really, are you actually sitting on a gold mine of old product like I am? I don't know what a lot of these are worth. Sometimes it goes up and fluctuates and comes down. There has been a recent push within the retro market because of these grading companies sitting there grading these things and putting up for auction. But in itself, it becomes a bigger issue because we have seen this with Magic the Gathering for years, where cards that get graded tend to gain value. Now, back when that originally was a thing, when it came down to trading cards and collectibles, you have hockey cards, there was an actual legitimacy behind it. But now they're being pushed in such a way, if you see a third-party grading company that comes out of nowhere saying we're giving these products 10s or 9s or high value, and then you want to dig in a little bit and make sure that they're not actually tied in with the auction house that that is auctioning those things, because then it just becomes a scenario where they're upping the grade on it so they can get more money, and then the auction house makes this commission on it. The grading company makes more profit because they see people will be willing to spend more money and get them graded to try and overcome and show this extra value in something that actually doesn't have extra value. These games are timeless classics. A lot of the games I own, I personally own because I enjoy them. They're something that I want to do. And recently I've been talking about the reserve list with Magic the Gathering as well, and how a lot of people, there's a lot of investors when it comes to these cards, and they're trying to go into new markets with like video games and stuff. So things are going to make more money, are going to be more expensive in the long run. But if you're not diligent about it and trying to say, hey, listen, there's no reason why this needs to be this price, you will be able to find a copy that isn't graded. You will be able to find a copy that won't be the prized possession ultimately. And that said, anyway, guys, this has been your proud Canadian Phoenix, bringing you a bit of a satire story and some bit of a situation that I saw. And I was like, you know what? We got to talk about this because this was a fun topic to talk about. If you like this type of topic, let me know down below. I will talk to you all next time, and you guys have a Merry Christmas. I will see you again very soon.